I was working as an on-site architect in Bangalore, and I was looking for things to do with my hands or something to do as a freelancer on my own. And I tried a bunch of different things before I actually started to learn pottery. I wrote for some architecture magazines, then I learned Odissi dance in between for a while in Bangalore. So, really diverse things at one point. And one day when we were on site, actually, we used to work a lot with our craftspeople and the masons on site as well. And I ended up applying putty, which is this clay that you apply between the bricks. So I did like an entire wall, and I didn't know where the time passed. So that's when I decided to take a pottery workshop in Bangalore. And I think after that, I continued to learn for a few years before deciding that, okay, this is what I want to do full time. And yeah, 8 years back, I moved to Goa and did my apprenticeship in pottery here, and I've just been here after that. I think when I quit the job, I didn't really realize that it would be such a challenge to learn and kind of keep myself afloat at the same time, because pottery actually is a very resource intensive craft, and that was the part which I struggled with a little bit. But in that sense, other potters in Goa, they have always been so open and welcoming, and they have shared their studios and their material, their supplies, and sometimes I didn't even have to pay actually. Like, I did it as an exchange for working for them or doing a small project with them. So that is what actually laid a very solid foundation for me, because while I was doing all of this, I was also able to pick up tricks and tips from all the potters here, and they all have like a very different way of working. I think people have mostly been quite supportive in Goa. It's a very close-knit and tight community actually of artists and even non-artists. I think everybody who just lives here, they kind of have formed this community, and everybody's kind of watching out for you in some sense. And I think in a year or two, you just get to know so many people, and not just that, like, you form deeper connections because you're seeing them in settings which allow that. So yeah, I think I'm very grateful and very thankful that I landed in the midst of artists and art lovers and people who really had a huge role to play in my in the initial years of my practice. And even now, if I'm stuck somewhere or if I can't figure it out, I know that I can reach out to any of the potters and they'll probably do whatever they can to aid me or assist me. I didn't realize that even miniatures would find a client base or people would be interested in buying miniatures, because for me it was just, I was just making something, right? At that time when I was learning, I didn't really give so much thought to, oh, who will be buying it. I think I was just making from what I want to make, but also kind of keeping in mind that I had very limited resources or materials. So that is where the whole concept of miniatures also started, because I had only so much to spend on clay, and I practically didn't have any money for firing. So I just used to kind of keep my small pieces between, in the gaps of the bigger pieces and other firings. And then I started selling all that on beaches, at Arambol Flea Market, and even at Thomas's Pottery Studio. So for the last 3 years, I would say, I have had this setup. First 1.5 years I worked with my teacher here in Sukur, and then after that I have kind of been on my own, selling and taking custom orders as well. You can't avoid inspiration just like coming and hitting you right in the face, really. You allow yourself, you just sit somewhere and you spend your morning in silence next to some river. Even from outside this window, you won't believe, we have about 10-15 varieties of birds that I see just sitting here every day, you know. Both Clayton and I, we are quite outdoorsy, so we spend a lot of time outdoors, whether it's the topography of Goa or the trees, the flowers. There is just nowhere where you can not see it, you know what I mean? The first process that I do is sketching, and from there I see like how I want to visually like define it, what components, what kind of colors that I want to use, and yeah. Then the more number of pieces that I make, like I think there's a little bit of variation in each piece. Like none of the pieces will even be like remotely similar. I also do a lot of like work trips in that sense. I used to go to Bangalore to teach pottery. A few workshops I've done in Bangalore. I have gone to Shimla also to teach there at a school. I didn't know that these things could actually touch people on such a deeper level. I thought like I'm making it because I'm making it and I want to make it and it's for me. But I found that it really resonated with so many people, and some of them were really moved by some of the pieces that I made. Like the octopus in the recent time has like attracted so many people, and I find that to be like so incredible in that way, that you know it's a different story for me, but it's an entirely different story for you. And I think that's what also makes it so special, because if I can really just, even for a few minutes, if I can make you feel that love, you know, that I have for all of this. And I don't want to be very preachy about it, but if it can just happen on its own, it's such a beautiful thing. And yeah, I'm just quite excited about what this may become now moving forward. Most of the time it's work you're doing for yourself, you know, you don't even have a client when you're making something, and you have to come up with those new ideas every time you start work, and you also have to do the work after the production, like the marketing or the selling, or so being in that loop, I think, constantly. So basically the work which is outside of pottery, like the accounting and the cleaning. Oh my god, nobody talks about cleaning. Nobody talks about how much you have to just constantly clean everything, and yet you're never fully and entirely clean. So that is one part of the job, like the constant looking for ideas and constant looking for clients, that I found to be rather challenging. Even now, I think like I'm still sort of arriving somewhere. I wouldn't really say, oh, you know, I've made it or anything because it's an ongoing thing.